Throw my glasses so I can see the TV. Oh, I have a friend who is really into Legacy of Kain, so it's like you're the vampire character Kain. Man, the last time I watched him play it was like maybe 10 years ago, so I don't remember a lot of the plot points, but it seemed super cool. Is that a game I should play on stream? I have played Shadow Complex, and we'll do that on stream for sure. It's a Metroid, love letter to Metroid, basically. Okay, so when we last left off, we had just finished the killing the Thorian, which is this big like plant species living underneath this colony that was controlling a bunch of the colonists. We liberated them. So we have a little bit of wrap up to do on the way out here.
You saved most of the infected. It'll take time to recover from the physical effects, but they'll be all right.
I know that they're well-ranked games, so it's on the list.
Any luck finding my workstation out in the ruins?
I managed to find the data and transfer it to your OSD.
That's very good news indeed, thank you.
I was there anyway. It was the least I could do.
Well, I appreciate it. Here, you've certainly earned this. Thanks again, Commander.
Oh, really, D-Rock? I'm okay with lacking gameplay, Majin Paul, so I've talked about this on stream before. Like, there are two kinds of gamers. There's the kind of gamers who are willing to suffer for a game, like me, and they're the kind of gamers who just will not put up with any bullshit. As soon as they detect any hint of bullshit, they give up. And it's totally fair to give up on bullshit. Like,
Goodbye.
that's on the game developers to make a game that is lacking in bullshit, that is accessible to everybody. But I am willing to suffer for a game. I'll play through some of the bullshit in Mass Effect 1, for example, which is not a very polished game, but the story is fantastic. Yeah, maybe I can find a workaround for that. I imagine that the game's been out long enough now, maybe someone's found a way to hack it or patch it. I don't know about the Zelda CDI game. The rule is it has to have at least a 70 on Metacritic. Maybe we'll do it on a free play day. We'll do like a bad game free play day. Let's play through some of the most infamous shitty games in history. So there'd be E.T., we could do a redux of Superman 64, the Zelda CDI games, some more Lester the Unlikely.
Commander, you look pale. Are you suffering any ill effects from the cipher?
The cipher shook me up a bit.
I might be able to help you. I am an expert on the Protheans. If I join my consciousness to yours, maybe we can make some sense of it.
Do it. Hurry. We don't have much time.
Yeah.
Relax, Commander.
I think if we reserve it for a special day. Give one more chance to vote on the next planet, by the way. We'll wait until we actually go to the galaxy map.
Incredible. All this time, all my research, yet I never dreamed. I am sorry. The images were so vivid. I never imagined the experience would be so intense. You are remarkably strong-willed.
That'd be cool, Majin Paul.
What you have been through, what you have seen, would have destroyed a lesser mind.
Did you see anything?
The beacon on Eden Prime must have been badly damaged. Large parts of the vision are missing. The data transferred into the commander's mind is incomplete.
You sure you didn't come across any kind of clue or hint? Something we might have missed?
Everything I saw, you already know. You were right about the Reapers. The Protheans were destroyed by a race of sentient machines. I think it is obvious there is a connection between the Reapers, the Prothean extinction, and the Conduit, but I did not see anything that would help us find
Okay,
it.
so let's summarize the most important stuff in Mass Effect in less than 60 seconds. Protheans, ancient civilization, disappeared 50,000 years ago, responsible for all our technology like the mass relays. Even our use of Mass Effect technology was owing to Prothean ruins that all these races have found. We believe they were wiped out by this race of machines called the Reapers. The bad guy Saren is now traveling around gathering information about this thing called the Conduit, which is some kind of Prothean artifact. We don't know what it does yet. He has the Geth on his side. The Geth are a race of, they're not AI, but they're VIs or virtual intelligences. So they're these robots that get smarter the more of them are around each other. And accidentally, as a result of them being so smart when they're near each other, they became effectively AIs. They're their own thinking organisms now. They're sapient. And they're aligned with Saren for some reason.
What's our next move?
I was able to interpret the data related
Later,
to your
Sneakers.
vision. What
Hey, Boss
was there,
Fiddler.
at least. But something was missing. Saren must have the missing information. Maybe he found another beacon. If we can find the missing data from your vision, I can... I am sorry. The joining is exhausting. I should go to the medical bay and lie down.
So we found 2 pieces of data related to the Conduit now. We found Liara, who is able to interpret Prothean visions, basically. By the Asari have this ability to like mind meld with you. And we just recently got clarification, the cipher from that Thorian creature. It was this really old creature that had absorbed Protheans in its time. So it had information about like the
Dr.
cultural
Chocklaw
knowledge
should
of the
take a look at you.
Protheans.
That will not be necessary. I just need some rest. Somewhere quiet.
We're done here. Dismissed.
I've sent off the Pharos report, Commander. You want me to patch you through to the Council?
Patch him through, Joker.
Setting up the link now, Commander.
Commander, Exogeny should have told us about the Thorian. It would have made your job much easier.
You might have been able to capture it for study instead of destroying.
We're generally playing this game as Paragon, but major decisions are being presented to chat to choose on. Anything that's not major, it would slow the game down too much to vote on absolutely every dialogue option. So I'll just be picking the Paragon options outside of those
Thorian liked to
instances.
enslave minds. Anyone who studied it would have ended up as one of its thralls.
Perhaps it's for the best then. At least the colony was saved.
Of course it was saved. Shepard would go to any lengths to help a human colony.
So if we were Renegade, the running joke is that you can like hang up on them in the middle several times, and like there's some pretty funny dialogue. I think you can look up a YouTube montage of every time you disconnect on them, Joker, and you joke about it.
Being human had nothing to do with it. They were in trouble.
Admirable. But sometimes Spectres have to make sacrifices. I hope you're willing to do that when the time comes.
Goodbye, Commander. We will be waiting for your next report.
So this Shepard is a creation of chat in general. We voted on just about everything. So like the general leaning of Paragon versus Renegade, the background, the war history, her appearance, her gender, all of the major decisions that lead into Mass Effect 2 and 3 so far, and we'll continue to do that. Yeah, no, my wife is a lifer Renegade as well. She always gives me shit for playing Paragon, like, you're not doing it right. Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, Dylan, she'll say to me. Okay, let's see. We're overdue for some codexes, we'll do that here soon too.
Anything you need, Commander?
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
Well, they know about the stonewalling you've had from the Council.
They deserve to know what we're up against.
They're on your side. They're pissed about the resistance we're getting, especially from our side. I'll have a better handle on all of it when my head stops hurting. Another L2
So, we voted earlier on what, if any, romance options we were going to go for, and chat voted to have no romance in Mass Effect 1. Caden's one of the romance
Thought about going
options.
back under the knife? upgrade?
No thanks, Commander. One slip and you can't remember your own name. The L2s spike higher anyway. My abilities would drop with pain-free L3s. It'd be a cold day before I turn myself over to a Canadic subsidiary.
Got a story there, Alenko?
You know the records about the biotic trading out on Jump Zero? They're all classified, because the Alliance made mistakes. After first contact, Canadics was set up to track Element Zero exposures and develop implants for humans. Once we had an embassy on the Citadel, Canadics could bring in experts instead of taking it slow.
Is there some reason we couldn't learn it on our own?
They didn't know where to start. Hell, it took a couple of years to even link biotics and Ezo. Forget trying to get the kids to move stuff. They had trouble just helping them not break their own limbs. And their choice of teachers didn't help much.
The only experts would have to be aliens.
Dead on. Turians, actually. That's why Canadics kept it a secret. They were afraid of what people back home would think, asking the Turians for help when we just fought a war with them.
I have all of them individually. I bought an Xbox to play Mass Effect because I'm such a huge BioWare fan. And then I got Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 on like midnight release. Took off like the whole week from work to just play it nonstop.
The Asari would have
Trilogy
been
came out fairly
accepted
recently,
by the
right?
aliens.
Yes, but the company didn't go through the Citadel. It would have made Earth look weak, so they discreetly hired some Turian mercenaries.
The Asari
Whoops, I
would have
already
been
asked that.
But the company didn't go through the Citadel.
I'm sure Canadics did what they thought was best.
It wasn't best for us. They brought in an ex-military Turian named Commander Vernus. A real hard-ass. He basically had a free pass to break us if it would turn out a decent biotic. Kind of spiraled from there, Commander.
Did he ever face
Cool.
charges for that?
Sneakers.
He got
I'm glad that they
arrested,
released it as a
but
trilogy.
everything else at Jump Zero was
That's how it's
under the
best
table.
experienced, I would say.
Better. Anyway, this is ancient stuff. I walked it off a long time ago. I should get back to my duties, Commander. We're here to make history, not rehash it.
Just trying to
I've
get us...
wasted enough of your time for now, Commander.
We'll talk another time.
Commander?
Oh shit, okay. Well, I guess you don't get to keep any of these. It's one of those things suffering for this game, the inventory limit and like the absolute torrent of shit you get in this game. You get so much useless stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and omnigel anything. Well, actually no, let's go downstairs and sell this stuff. We'll come back up here in a second and finish doing things. I want to sell everything that's less than like a 3. You look at, there's like Banshee 1, Banshee 2, Banshee 3, Banshee 4, and so on. We'll sell all of that and see if we can afford some of the Spectre gear. I have beaten the 3rd game, yep. I love the series. Alright, so we voted to be mean, to be renegade to Liara.
Are you coming to check up on me?
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chakwas assures me I am going to be fine. I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
Alliance medical personnel take courses in alien biology, just in case.
I get the feeling you want to ask me something, Commander.
Maybe we could pick up where we left off. You were telling me about your interest in the Protheans.
Actually, I think I was talking about my interest in you, and making a fool of myself in the process. As I said, I am not used to dealing with people, especially humans. I did not really know much about your species when we first met, Shepard. I found it hard to take humanity seriously. Your kind always seemed so rushed and high-strung.
So you saw us as some kind of joke?
As I said, I was ignorant about your species, but I have been watching you and your crew. I feel as if I have learned a great deal. You humans are creatures of action. You pursue your goals with an almost indomitable determination. It is an admirable trait, but also an
I really like that as a concept. It's very, very difficult to, as a creative person, thinking of like a science fiction story, to create something that's, 1, truly alien, and 2, that like makes humans unique in some way. And usually what they'll do is say, oh, humans are balanced. They can do anything. And this one, it's just indomitable and determined. I think that's cool.
You're basically saying we
Well,
bully other
hold
people
on.
to get our way.
Unfortunately, that is how most of the galaxy sees you. I understand why they think that way, though I don't necessarily agree with them. It is up to people like you to change their
Can you
minds.
send me that as a message, Sneakers? I'm trying to avoid any spoilers for the later games in chat, because there's some folks who haven't played it before. But I can answer your question if you send me a private message on Twitch.
I don't care what the rest of the galaxy thinks about us.
But you should. The Council made you a Spectre because of what they saw in you. You are special, Commander. You represent the best of what humanity can offer.
I just deleted the message. I
looked into
didn't,
your
like, you're
history.
not kicked or
I know
anything.
what you did during the Blitz. It was a remarkable display of courage and heroism.
Now you're digging into my past, invading my privacy.
I am sorry. I know
I
it
think
was
you can just
wrong,
right-click
but
my name in
after
chat,
our
and
last
there's a
conversation,
message
I was
option.
too
Or go to my
embarrassed
channel.
to
There's somewhere where
approach
you can click
directly.
message. Maybe
I
somebody
was
else in
afraid
chat
I
could
would
help
say something
find the
stupid
option.
again. I wanted to know more about you.
I can probably answer you
understand
during
what made
stream
you into
even,
the
because
one you
there's a
are.
lot of time for me to type and stuff during
There's
these
something
dialogue sequences.
Compelling about you, Shepard.
Don't try to justify this. You're obsessed.
Obsessed? All I did was look up some information from the extranet. I would hardly call that an obsession. I apologize if I offended you, Commander.
Thanks, Kami.
But you had better get used to this kind of attention. You are the first human Spectre, the most visible representative of your species. The eyes of the entire galaxy are watching you.
I don't care what the rest of the galaxy thinks about me. On this ship, I am in charge, and I don't like my crew digging into my past.
Understood, Commander. I will keep our relationship strictly professional from now on.
Pretty much there, we just shut down the possible relationship with Liara because of stream vote earlier. I'm gonna hide the pie graph here for a second. I'll bring it back up right when we're about to make the decision. I think it's gonna be a little while before we do it, so it's not uglying up the top right corner of the screen. Side quest is something. Turn up here one sec. Side quest is 3.
Looking for supplies?
Let's see what you got.
You bet, Commander.
Alright, we're selling everything that's below a 4. Let's go. There's so much, you get so much crap in this game. It's they fix it in Mass Effect 2. It's a welcome improvement. Okay, that's good enough. We still can't afford the end game stuff. Close to being able to get the pistol though, that's the important one I think. See if it's worth selling some of the 4s. Yeah, we're not gonna use any of these. Let's just sell maybe up to 5 even. Because everybody already has the good stuff equipped. And now we can at least afford that pistol. I like Shepard as a name. It's actually it's a space exploration reference. It's not a reference to Shepard being a shepherd.
Commander, good to see you.
So a reference to Alan Shepard, I'll post the link. But I guess there is also the double entendre.
Been to CSEC a while. Have you seen much action?
Well, not as much as you, but yeah, I've seen some interesting things.
I bet
We
you
voted to
have.
do
Anything in
Paragon with
particular that
Garrus.
stands out?
I remember this Solarian geneticist I was sent to investigate. That case was a bit disturbing.
What happened? Why were you investigating him?
I was tasked with tracking black market trade.
Good call though, Robert.
Most of it harmless, nothing I needed to pursue. But during the course of my investigation, I noticed an increase in the trade of body parts, organs mostly. We usually get a few of those, but not the numbers I was seeing. We weren't sure if there was a new black market lab or if some freak was harvesting organs from citizens.
You've seen this before on the Citadel?
Every so often, some lab sells unwanted parts through the black market, but they're not as bad as the psychos. I remember this one Elcor diplomat we caught in my first year on the job. He was hacking
An
people
Elcor?
up and selling their organs, had the station in a bit of a panic. But this case wasn't that clear-cut. Turns out there was more going on than we first realized.
So how did you figure out what was happening?
First, we got a hold of a sample and ran DNA tests. The weird thing was, the match led us to a Turian who was still alive and was very convinced he'd never lost his liver. After a bit of digging, I discovered this Turian worked briefly for Dr. Saleon, the geneticist. So I went to his lab hoping to find evidence of cloned organ development, but there was nothing. No Solarian hearts, no Turian livers, not one Krogan testicle.
Krogan testicles.
You're kidding, right? Why would anyone want Krogan testicles?
Some Krogan believe that testicle transplants can increase their virility, counteract the effects of the genophage. It doesn't work, but that doesn't stop them from buying. They'll pay up to 10,000 credits each. That's 40,000 for a full set. Somebody's making
That's a clever way to reveal that they have 4 balls.
What'd you do about the geneticist?
I brought in some of his employees for interrogation to see if I could get them to talk. While I was interviewing one of them, I came across something suspicious.
You mean threatening? Was that really necessary?
Maybe, maybe not. Either way, it paid off. One of my detainees started bleeding profusely during the interview. We offered to patch him up, and he got frantic, freaked out. I ordered a full exam to find out what was going on. Our medics found incisions all over his body, some of them fresh. That was our big break. These people weren't just Dr. Saleon's employees. They were test tubes. Walking, living test tubes.
He was growing parts inside these people?
Exactly. He cloned their organs right inside their own bodies. Then he harvested them and sold them off. Most of the victims were poor. He'd pay them each a small percentage of the sales, but only if the organs were good. Sometimes an organ wouldn't grow properly, so he'd just leave it in them. Most of them were a mess, but only on the inside, hidden so nobody could see it.
I hope he got what he deserved.
That's the worst part. We never caught him.
Why not? What the hell happened?
He ran, blew his lab, grabbed some of his employees, and headed for the nearest space dock. By the time I found out, his ship was already leaving. He threatened to kill his hostages if we tried to stop him.
But you went after him anyway, right?
I ordered Citadel Defense to shoot him down, but CSEC headquarters countermanded my order. They were worried about the hostages, worried about civilian casualties if the ship was destroyed so close to the Citadel. I told them those hostages were dead anyway. He just used them to make more organs, but they wouldn't listen.
This is a big chance for us to either support Garrus or try to go the Paragon path.
It's not worth the risk. You pursue the vessel and disable it. That's the best choice.
They sent the military after him, but he got away just the same. Yes, they did. I went to Palin and told him what I thought of him and his policies. He said if I didn't like it, I could quit. Well, I almost did. All they had to do was disable that ship, stop him from running. Maybe the hostages die, maybe they don't, but at least we stopped the bastard responsible for it all.
If you don't care about the fate of those hostages, then you're no better than he is. You're just a terrorist with a badge.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It doesn't make it any easier, but I see your point. Just wish I could have stopped him. That's all.
Do you have any idea what happened to Dr. Saleon?
I sent out feelers from time to time, hoping to find something. I thought I'd found him a while back. He changed ships and changed his name to Dr. Hart, his idea of a joke, I guess. I told the military, but they weren't convinced it was him. I got the transponder frequency for his new ship, but I just can't get anyone to check it out.
I'll check out the coordinates when I get a chance.
I was hoping you'd say that. But Commander, take me with you when you go. If it's Saleon, I want to be there when you find him.
We'll see. We're gonna vote for it, Majin. My wife remained. She didn't romance anybody in her playthrough because she believes in Rex. Rex till the end.
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
Sure. I was just watching some mail from home.
Oh, before I go, we saw Caden in a news vid about the Normandy. He's cute. Later, sis.
Let's pretend this never happened.
Alright, so we never formally voted on this, but the support from chat has overwhelmingly been, with the exception of Kami, to be renegade towards Ashley and ambivalent towards Caden.
I heard it. I don't need to tell you it's inappropriate to gossip about how cute your superior officers are.
It won't happen again. And, I have no interest in the lieutenant. I'm sorry. I wouldn't mind talking more.
Dismissed.
Ma'am.
Now, Kami, I owe you one. So Kami and I had this discussion, right? Is Ashley racist? She's clearly prejudiced against the aliens and that she prejudges them. But I think that there's a worthwhile distinction between prejudice and racism. To me, racism or bigotry implies that you treat other people differently based on your prejudice, whereas everyone prejudges things. You know, you walk into a dark room and you prejudge the situation. You walk into a very bright room, you prejudge the situation, and so on. So we talked about Kami's point that, well, you know, she is prejudiced, but she never treats other people on the shift differently, and it's not fair to call her a racist. And I think to that point, that's probably true. So I concede that to you, Kami. I still hate Ashley for different reasons, but I think Kami makes a good point. Yeah, vote Rex.
Why did you become a mercenary?
We voted to be renegade to Rex because that's what he would want.
Such as?
Such as, I needed to get out of our system. I needed to eat. I needed to survive.
Why not stay and help your people?
I tried to help. That's why I had to leave.
What happened?
I was betrayed. I was head of a small tribe. We were trying to restore order after the war, but the other tribes were against us. They followed Jared, one of the few warlords who survived the war with the Turians. But he was old, and so were his ideas. He wanted to continue the war. He wanted us to fight. Turians, Salarians, each other. It didn't matter who, as long as we were fighting.
What did you want?
I just wanted Jared to shut up, to stop his ranting. I wanted him to stop leading the tribes astray. But he couldn't understand how much things had changed. We didn't have the numbers to go to war. Even if we did, the genophage made sure we couldn't replenish our numbers fast enough. I told them all to forget about war. We needed to focus on breeding, at least for one generation. And for a while, we were getting through. Some of the tribes started coming around.
Yeah, I hear that, Majin. I really like how brief they are in general, though. Also like Shepard, Rex.
I take it the warlord didn't appreciate that.
No, he didn't. He arranged a crush with the tribes. A meeting on neutral ground. He wanted to talk. We met at the Hollows, near the graves of our ancestors. The skulls of our dead laid bare to remind us where we come from, and where we all go. It's as sacred as any Krogan place can be. Violence is forbidden.
Sounds like a trap to me. You must have suspected as much.
I did.
I have to go.
But when
I
your
should
father
go.
invites you to a crush, well,
I
there
have
are
to go.
some laws that even we hold sacred.
Jared was your father?
He was, until that day. We talked, but we didn't get anywhere. When it was clear that I wouldn't join him, he gave the signal. His men leapt from the graves of our ancestors like Krogan undead. The few that were loyal to me died quickly. I escaped with my life, but not before I sank my dagger deep into my father's chest. That is why I left, and that's why I'll never go back.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Mass Effect 4 is going to be another trilogy, so we have to be very careful not to spoil anything about the ending of this series, but Mass Effect 4 takes place in the Andromeda Galaxy. All of Mass Effect is in the Milky Way Galaxy. And they're doing that so that they can make basically a new game series without having to worry about what happened in these 3 games, because there's already so many branching decision points. It would be really crazy if they tried to take that into account into Mass Effect 4. So they're kind of, it's not really a reboot, it's like a spiritual successor kind of a thing. But it would be cool if it was a new trilogy and they tried to keep the, your choices matter between games idea.
You must have family other than your father. Don't you miss them?
You trying to make me cry, Shepard? I've got some unfinished business with my family, but that's all.
What kind of business?
Before I left, I made an oath to my father's father. I swore to recover my family's battle armor. It was taken from him after the uprising.
What's so important about this armor?
It's a relic. Useless, really. But it was worn by 5 generations of my family before the war. It's rightfully mine. Originally, it was taken by the Turian military. We weren't allowed armor or weapons after the war. Now, it's in the hands of Taun Actus, a Turian scum who collects relics from the war. He's made millions selling Krogan artifacts that were stolen from my people. He's got several bases where he stores his goods, all fortified and guarded. I just don't know which base has my family's armor.
It's a good day. It looks like side quests are winning right now, so it would be a good day for do side quests since we've got several characters now giving us them.
I'll upload the data to your nav system. But Commander, I want to be there when you find him.
So long, Rex.
Shepard. Shepard.
Rex.
Shepard.
I always do this, sorry.
Shepard.
Here we go.
Shepard, I'm glad you're here.
Right, Sneakers, yeah, so it's in Andromeda. Everything in Mass Effect 1 through 3 is in the Milky Way Galaxy, which I think is great. There's a lot of sci-fi that's kind of lazy, and it's like, oh, we're traveling across the universe. But like, no, there's enough stars in the Milky Way to have endless exploration. Like, they say that only 1% of the Milky Way is explored. But yeah, they're having the next one be in Andromeda, which is the closest galaxy to the Milky Way.
Good to see you smiling again, so to speak.
I'm sleeping much better now. I guess I'm getting used to how quiet your ship is. I still think a lot about my pilgrimage, though. I know Theron's our top priority, but with all the worlds we go to, I was hoping to find something to bring back to the flotilla.
Thanks for the follow, appreciate it.
We've still got a long way to go. You'll find something to take back.
Yes, but it cannot just be some derelict ship my people can use for salvage. It has to be more than that. There's a lot expected
Yeah,
of me.
Tali, the Quarians are my favorite alien race. They're pretty great. We voted to be nice to Tali.
What's so special about you?
It's my father. He's the senior member of the
Combo
Outlaws
breaker.
Board. He's one of only 5 people who can overrule the decisions of the Conclave for the good of the migrant fleet. My father is responsible for the lives of 17 million people. Our entire race is in his hands, and I'm his only child.
So are you some kind of heir to the Quarian throne or something?
No, it doesn't work that way. My father's position isn't hereditary. I'll probably never serve on the Admiralty Board myself. Officially, I'm just the same as any other citizen. But it doesn't work that way in practice. People have always treated me differently because of who my
I
father
don't know if you guys have heard of riff tracks, or even going further back. I promise this is relevant. We'll get back to Mass Effect in a second. Mystery Science Theater 3000 was this hilarious TV show for a while where these 3 guys would basically riff on really bad horror movies and really bad sci-fi movies. Very funny. It was on Sci-Fi on Saturday mornings for a while. Those guys are still active. They don't have a TV show. They have a website called Riff Tracks that you should check out, where they do that for modern movies like AAA titles like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. But the way they do it is they just do like a podcast. So you buy a recording that you sync up with the movie, and then you listen to their commentary. Anyway, the reason I bring it up, in the X-Men 2 one, which is hilarious, you should watch it. Anytime someone says Cerebro or Magneto, they do a Shepard Rex thing. So if someone says Cerebro, they go Cerebro, Magneto, or Magneto, Cerebro.
You must get all kinds of special privileges.
I probably had it easier than most growing up, but it's not all good. People like my father have enemies, and they're not above using me to get to
I haven't seen the Batman one. I should get on that. That would be awesome.
That must be tough on you.
My people place a high value on family and ancestry. There's an unspoken expectation that I'll live up to my father's example. Everyone's waiting for me to do something great on my pilgrimage, something that will forever change our lives for the better. If I don't, it's like I failed, and that reflects badly on both me and my father.
The work you're doing here is more important than anything any Quarian's ever done before.
Yes, I know. But you have to understand Quarian culture. We're
Welcome
a
back,
very
Okega.
insular society. The events beyond the flotilla don't much matter to the average citizen. Our greatest dream is that one day we'll return to our homeworld and drive out the Geth. But even if we stop Saren, that's not going to happen.
I'm Cerebro.
There's still millions of Geth behind the veil. Until they're gone, our exile will continue.
What would you need to bring back to make everyone happy?
Something that would help us better understand the Geth. They've changed significantly since the exile. They've continued to evolve. We've done our best to study them, but it's not easy. They're very reclusive. Until recently, they never...
It's like a staring contest in chat.
And all the Geth we run into now are
Shepard.
under Saren's control. We'd need to find Geth operating on their own, independently. But I don't want this to get in the way of our mission, Shepard. First, we stop Saren. Then I'll worry about my own.
I'll try to sneak this into like future streams, just in the middle of a stream, in the middle of a different game. I might just throw out there, Shepard. Maybe everyone in chat can be like, Rex.
What was your father like?
It wasn't easy growing up as the daughter of one of the Admiralty. Even before he joined the board, he was a prominent figure. People looked to him for leadership. He had to set an example, and he expected the same of his daughter. Plus, he was pretty strict, a military man through and through. He never allowed me to settle for anything less than excellence. As a kid, I sometimes felt like he was pushing me too hard. But now I'm old enough to appreciate what he taught me. The world doesn't owe us anything. If we want something in life, we have to earn it.
Where was your mother in all this?
Mother was around, but she always seemed to kind of blend into the background. Almost like she was overshadowed by my father. He tends to do that to people. She passed on about 5 years ago. Some airborne virus that swept through the fleet. Happens sometimes when the filters start to break down. I think my father took it pretty hard. After she was gone, he became even more focused on his work. I think that was his way of dealing with the grief.
Sounds like a tough upbringing. You don't resent your father at all?
Like I said, it wasn't easy. My father's not the kind of person you bond with, and he wasn't around all that much. Too busy. People counted on him, and he took his duties seriously. Even when he was around, he always seemed a bit distant, like his mind was always somewhere else. Come to think of it, I can't ever remember seeing him smile. Not once. It's like he was always weighed down by all that responsibility. I mean, I know he cares about me, but he never really showed it, not in the usual way. I guess the best thing I can say about my father is that I respect him.
I want to talk about something else.
Like what?
I should go.
See you later.
Alright, so we're overdue for a lot of codex diving, but we just did a lot of dialogue, so I'll spare you guys that for a second. We are going to read every codex live on the air, because I feel like that's the correct way to experience Mass Effect. There's so much rich backstory that's hidden in this codex that you should see. And we'll listen to it. I'll try to give a TLDR, a quick summary of each of the items if you miss it. The plan now, it looks like the vote is winning for side quests, so after each side quest, we'll look at a couple codexes and then move on to the next side quest and so on. As far as deciding what side quest to do, I'm definitely going to do all of the missions associated with a specific character, so we'll do Rex's mission, we'll do Garrus's mission, Talia's going to get a mission later. We're going to do the Rogue VI on Earth's moon. Remember Admiral Hackett, who's voiced by Bishop from the Aliens movies. He called us up and said, hey, there's this rogue VI on Earth's moon and it's causing problems. So we're going to go do that one first. And then we'll do some of the other side quests and check out codexes in between them. Go ahead and save real quick since we got all that stuff up.
Good timing, Commander. We got a transmission coming in from the Citadel. Top priority clearance.
Is it the ambassador?
It's not his signature. I think it's from the Council. I'll patch it through to the conference.
This is the Saren's base mission I mentioned earlier, which has like my favorite dialogue sequence. Well, there are two dialogue sequences in this game that are fucking awesome. They're so cool. There's one on Vermeer and there's one closer to the end of the game.
Commander Shepard, we've received information.
The vigil
that may be
cutscene
critical
without
to your
spoiling
mission
anything.
Against Saren.
I'll take all the help I can get.
We've received an urgent message from one of our infiltration regiments in the Traverse.
You mean spies?
Spectres tend to attract attention, Commander, but they are only one arm of the Council. Special task groups are often a better option for monitoring developing situations.
We currently have several infiltration units scattered throughout the border regions of Citadel space. This particular unit was gathering intel on Saren.
What did they find?
Unfortunately, the message we received was little more than static. The infiltration team must be in a situation where they can't set up proper interstellar communications. But the message was sent on a channel reserved for mission-critical communications. Whatever they were trying to tell us, we know it was important. Considering your interest in Saren, we thought you might want to investigate this. Find out what happened to our team. The signal originated from the planet Vermeer.
I'll look into it.
The Council prefers not to become involved in the specifics of Spectre activities. We only want you to be aware of all your options, including Vermeer. Good luck, Commander Shepard. We will keep you advised if we learn anything else.
Right, so sphere points are a currency you earn. This is pretty common on Twitch these days. You get a bot basically that tracks the amount of time people spend in chat and awards them points every 5 minutes or so. It's a way to give, like, so instead of just saying, hey, D-Rock's been watching for a long time, so I'm going to give D-Rock undue influence in decisions. It's a way to actually like use numbers to show who has been watching for the most time. So you spend sphere points usually on like a free play day. On Wednesdays I'll pick a console and just play random games from it. So we've done like a Super Nintendo day, an NES day, a Nintendo 64 day. Next week is a TurboGrafx day. And then people can, in like an auction format, they can spend their sphere points to decide which games that I play. We just use it for Final Fantasy IX to name Zidane, Vivi, and Steiner. So basically anytime there's a decision that has an open-ended choice, instead of doing a vote like we're doing with Mass Effect, we have people spend sphere points. I think D-Rock spent sphere points to name Shepard Barbie Shepard, for example. Yeah, sneakers, that's a little bit tougher in this one. That's certainly true. They make that a little bit clearer in Mass Effect 2, but they don't like track places you've already been to, so you just have to mentally track places you've already been. Local cluster, that's us. Oh man, get hype. Saul, that's the sun. You get, I think, 1 sphere point every 5 minutes, something like that, in chat. You can brush my hair. Oh man, we get to see the... It's... Does Pluto get a ring? Pluto should get one, even though it's a dwarf planet, because that's where the Karen relay is. I gushed about this earlier, but I'll gush about it again. It's so cool. Oh my god. The first mass relay they found, they go to the Mars, right? And they uncover details about this mass relay that's in the solar system. And they find out that the moon of the planet Pluto, which is called Karen, is not a moon at all. It's not a space station either. It's a frozen mass relay. And the reason that's so freaking cool is that Pluto is the Roman name of Hades, the god of the underworld, and Karen is the name of the ferryman on the river Styx. So it's so sweet that like the ferryman on the river Styx is the thing that takes you outside of the galaxy, like crossing the river Styx. That's just rad. Anyway, that's all. At least they call it an ice dwarf world and not a planet. Formerly encased in ice and considered a moon, orbit each other. Right, Kami. There's no moon. Exactly. The ferryman on the river Styx was Karen. Hey, Shimura. Hey, Sean. Notably, all the images of these solar system planets are actual. They're not like artist renditions like the other ones. These are actual pictures. Uranus is the largest producer of helium-3. I think she'd agree. That's no moon. The moons of Titan or the moon of Titan is mined for hydrocarbons. Pretty big population too. Population among the moons. On Neptune, was there? I don't think so. Oh yeah, on Triton. The very small research, so it's like 70 people, that's sort of like the research facility that we have in Antarctica. Maybe 70 people. So that's actual, like, rover imagery of Mars with the cities superimposed on top of it. Oh, I should probably add Dead Space as a donation goal, right? So I'm a wuss. The goal of this channel is play every great game ever made at least once. And that includes some really great survival horror games, but I'm a wuss about them and I'm bad at them. So I already got Silent Hill 2 is on the list of a survival horror game that's very, very good that I will play once I reach a certain donation threshold. I might have to put Dead Space on there too. Hey Dexter, how's it going? Oh god. Amnesia might need to be a higher threshold. I'll play it, but I've seen the opening scene of Amnesia that's like, don't play this like a video game. You're not trying to win. Just immerse yourself in the experience. Like, ugh. 11.4 billion on Earth. We'll see, D-Rock. I'll set it up. It can be transferable. That's totally fine. I've heard it's really awesome. Nice, Majin. Alright, so we voted on the party composition, and it's the classic Dream Team, Garrison Rex. I personally voted for Rex and Tali, but Dream Team can take it. That's cool. Oh man, Earth's moon hype. Have you ever seen a photo called, there's two photos, there's the blue marble, and then more famously probably is Earthrise. Let's see, I think we just want to go straight here. Sure. Liara's pretty buff. Hey Zenwu, what's up Red Balloon Man? Good to see you again. Mako versus Skyrim Horse. I think the Mako would take it. Rex. Alright, where are we going? We're going this way. Could someone, so you get a subclass from this mission, and it's not going to be super important going forward, but I'll go ahead and include it as a stream poll. I just don't remember what the two subclass options for Vanguard are. So would someone who has played Mass Effect before do me a favor and Google Vanguard Luna mission class options? Just tell me the name of them and roughly what they do, and I'll set up a poll so that people can start voting on it before we actually finish the mission. That way we don't hold anything up. We're here because the Alliance built a VI that's very advanced. It's close to an AI, artificial intelligence, which is illegal by Citadel Convention. Because the Quarians made the Geth, which are pretty close to AIs, and people believe that, you know, the creation of AI is very dangerous. It is outlawed. Go for it, Dexter. Just no spoilers for later games in the series or for later parts of Mass Effect 1. I have played these games before, but we've got a lot of folks in chat who haven't, so I'm trying to restrict that. We might do, in fact, I'm certain we'll do a second quest playthrough of Mass Effect at some point, where I point out all like the foreshadowing stuff early on. There's something that happens here on the moon that ends up being important in Mass Effect 3, but I can't talk about it right now because of the no spoilers rule. Okay, cool. Let me set that up then. Thank you, Leon, and thank you, Kami. We'll turn the graph back on while we do the mission. Oh yeah, no, my overlay is from. I play lots of different games on this channel. It's from Chrono Trigger, so I don't only play Mass Effect. So I'm not gonna like spend a few hours setting up a custom overlay for each game that I play. Yeah, fair point. We need to destroy all these. There we go. Some rocket things here, so we gotta be careful. Still not quite at the point where we can face roll everything in this game. We're getting there, but not quite. Oh shit. As I was saying. No, I didn't mean to close the door. Let me through. Shock Trooper is more of a soldier focus, like weapons. Nemesis is more of a biotics focus, so you know my biotic ability is like throw and warp and those kinds of things. Even doing no overlay would be difficult. Because I use the same one for every game I play, so I'd have to change it from game to game, I suppose. But thank you for the feedback. Maybe I'll think about doing more games in full screen, for example, and removing some of the stuff. I like having the chat displayed regardless, simply because it makes it easier. As I load everything, you know, what we do here is full playthroughs of games from beginning to end. So when people watch it on YouTube, if I don't have the chat displayed in some way, I'm just like talking to thin air. So having the chat recorded makes it clear when I say, oh, you know, when I'm responding to someone, what exactly it is that I'm responding to. Though it's more for the benefit of YouTube viewers later.
No sense standing around. Let's go.
Toxic gas, alright. Rex. No, you're good, Dexter. I appreciate the feedback. If I wasn't doing it on, if I wasn't like loading all the playthroughs to YouTube, I wouldn't worry about it. To clarify that, because we got a lot of new people in stream. Focus of this channel in general, it's not Mass Effect only, although I love Mass Effect and I'm looking forward to playing all 3 games back to back. We are playing through every great game that's ever been made at least once, believing that there are so many good games in existence now that it would be impossible for a person to play all of them in a single human lifetime. So we're going to try as hard as possible and get to as many as we can. Mass Effect is one of those games. Final Fantasy is another ones we're playing right now. Okami. So typically what we'll do is every day from noon until 6 p.m. Pacific time, we'll pick a game for about 2 hours, we'll play it, and then we'll switch to another one. So 12 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6. When we start a game, we will finish it. So we're not going to like play 30 minutes of Mass Effect and then quit and not come back to it. We will continue playing until it's done and then switch games. So like today we beat Final Fantasy VI. To replace Final Fantasy VI, tomorrow we're going to bring in Paper Mario. Oh, sure. Grade is subjective, although there is some level of everyone being able to agree, like Metacritic, if it has a 70 or higher. That means that users and critics alike agree that something is awesome. I've actually never played Fallout, so that would be a blind playthrough if I did both of those. Absolutely. Those are highly scored. I'd have to like, part of the reason I haven't played those games is I'm an obsessive completionist, and like games like Fallout and Skyrim, you cannot really 100% complete. I mean, you can, but it would be hundreds of hours, and there are a lot of things that are mutually exclusive. So if I were to play them, I would likely just beeline through the plot, maybe do some side stuff as I found it, but not actually try to find absolutely everything, or it would take forever. No, I know, it's one of my great sins that I haven't played the Fallout series. I've never played Skyrim. The only game like that I played Grand Theft Auto Vice City and 100%ed it over the course of like 200 hours of gameplay or something ridiculous. And then realized that those kinds of games like freak me out. But when I'm playing on stream, I'm happy to do it because I don't feel that stress that I have to 100% it. You know, it's more, let's play through this in a reasonable amount of time and enjoy it. Yeah, I've got a friend who's a big fan of Fallout 1 and 2. My old roommate. We beat Tactics last week, I think, Okega. Subbed it out for Final Fantasy V. Oh no, it was this Monday, actually. You've been sitting for a while? It's a good time to stand up and stretch real quick. I don't know, I think I prefer the isometric perspective, but we'll see. I would be willing to play Fallout 1 and 2. Actually, I prefer sprite and isometric view to full 3D view a lot of the time. Yeah, the only exception for starting and then beating a game is on Free Play Wednesdays. On those days we will typically start a game just to check it out, maybe play it for 15 or 30 minutes. So it's good. It's well suited for games that, like older ones that are very difficult to complete in a reasonable time frame. Here, I'm going to turn off the pie chart for a little bit. I think we've got it pretty... Well, it's neck and neck, but when we actually get to the decision, I'll bring it up again if anyone has any last-minute votes to push it one direction or the other. I follow the subreddit, the Fallout subreddit. They were freaking out about that Survivor 2199 thing, the fake Fallout 4 announcement. Now they're like battered domestic partners, like, I won't be hurt again. No problem, Dexter. It's solid criticism. Like, actually, I've gotten a lot of feedback. The UI is already better than it used to be. It used to be much worse. I had a lot of wasted space because of my setup. So with certainty, I'll take it into consideration. I'll see if I can find some way to get more of the game on the screen. But I think that, at least for me, because of my system of recording everything on YouTube so people can go back and catch up if they miss something, I need to have the chat visible in some way. Finding a way to do that without intruding on the game is pretty difficult. Really, New Vegas is your favorite. New Vegas is an Obsidian game, right? Obsidian's pretty infamous for like making sequels to games that other people started and then making an awesome first 80% or so, but then not quite finishing them and then being a little buggy. Like a Knights of the Republic 2 is the classic example. Yeah, I'm pretty chill. Like, you're not gonna annoy me or frustrate me as long as you're not like giving shit to my wife. Like she said, that's the only thing that really gets to me. No, I'm pretty chill though. Ooh, that's cool, Majin. I'll have to check it out. I'm sure it's probably been out for so long now that any major bugs at launch have been resolved, so. He really doesn't like it. That's cool. Like I said, it's the same one that I used for other games. It was something I was able to put together fairly easily, so. Let's see, which one? I think it's this one? Really? Hate Bethesda? What, Zegweg, what sins have Bethesda committed against the Fallout series? I've heard there's some crazy stuff in like Fallout 1 and 2. Like the craziest thing I've read about is if you create your character with like the lowest possible intelligence score, he like is a blubbering idiot and can't speak. There's a bunch of special conversations as a result. And I think there's like some random character who to everyone else is normally a blubbering idiot, but if you're playing as a blubbering idiot when he talks to you, he talks in a very refined manner. This one we've already been to. I think it has. I'll run back down there and double check real quick. I think it just added, yeah, there's not any enemies here, so it's actually the other one we gotta go to. Cool, Kami, thank you. I welcome all kinds of criticism. Like, I intend to take Twitch all the way, so anything that is helpful. Even if I don't, like, make a change based on your advice, knowing that someone thinks that will be helpful for me going forward. I can perform a composite. My current objective is to shut down this rogue VI on the moon. The Human Alliance built a VI, which is, well, building VIs isn't illegal. Let me just double check. I think this is right? Well, no, we already opened that, so it must be the last one over on the right. Thank you, Dexter. My wife got me this sweet hat, and I don't wear it. Let's see if I can go find the hat real quick and throw it on. Yeah, she got me this cool, like, restaurant hat. Right? It's got, like, flames on it. I'll be right back. I'm seeing if I can find the hat. No luck. I will wear it next stream. Well, at least wear the cool flames hat once. Pretty sure I know where it is, but it would take me too long to find it. You play them, but you hate them. The great paradox. Yeah, Dexter, I was alluding to that earlier on the Fallout subreddit after that Survivor 2199 thing where somebody trolled all the Fallout fans thinking that Fallout 4 was coming out. Everyone on the Fallout subreddit are like battered domestic partners. They're like, I'm not going to get hurt again. I won't believe it until I hear it. I'm not going to get hyped. Seems more likely this time, though. Whoa! I didn't even get to react to that. Hopefully the game saved recently. I bet that it is in development. I imagine a game like Fallout is gigantic and is like of order 10 years of development to create. Are you serious? Did it take us all the way back? This game's pretty weird with autosaves. Sometimes it autosaves like every time you change maps, and sometimes it doesn't. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and do that real quick. We're going to try to run through it as fast as possible. I will save after each encounter, like we did with the Thorian fight. Yeah, we just walked into that room though, and like I guess got hit by 2 rockets or something. Went from full health with barrier to dead. Oh, he's a Boston native. Can you vault him? No, this is not a blind playthrough. I played through Mass Effect is one of my favorite game series of all time, hence the N7 hoodie, which is basically my stream uniform. But although it is not a blind playthrough, I'm trying to avoid including any overt spoilers because there's a lot of people in chat who haven't played the game before, and I have some friends who are watching the game via my YouTube channel after the fact. So we can talk about stuff that's already happened in the game, but won't spoil anything for Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3. Yeah, so one of the reasons I want to do this channel, there's a lot of people who can throw Twitch up in the background while they're working or something. You know, they can listen to a game and tune in when something interesting is happening, maybe have me in another tab while I'm redoing a mission that I just died in. But they don't have the time to play the game themselves. Everyone has your backlog of games that they could never get to. So trying to help with that, like, hey, if you haven't seen Mass Effect before, here's Mass Effect. And if you miss some part, you can't log in, then it'll go on YouTube and you can catch up, no big deal.
Cover me.
Oh, I saw the leather one. Could probably just start using Omnigel for this. I'll just start doing that. I got so much of it from getting rid of that extra gear earlier. Garrus already used, yeah, he already used Overload.
Shields down.
Whoa, Rex went down. That, you know something's bad if Rex is dying. That's pretty cool. Okay, go what class for? No, that's cool. It doesn't have to be relevant to what we're doing. Especially when I'm doing something that's like tedious, like playing back to the part where I died. Mass Effect 2 and 3 are a little bit better about auto-saving frequently. Which the game may as well, if it can do it in a way that's not, that doesn't get in the way of gameplay, that doesn't pause gameplay. Like, if you can save at will, it may as well auto-save after pretty much anything that would be annoying to have to do a second time. Yep, my main Shepherd, the one that I identified as Shepherd was male Shep, but vote was for Fem Shep this playthrough. Actually, I personally prefer Jennifer Hale as a voice actress to Mark Hamill, the male Shepherd voice actor. But Mark Hamill is still great. Like, that is Shepherd to me since I've played this game so many times. It's pretty sweet, okay, guy. Yeah, I think we're starting to get one of the first generations. I'll say coming into power. It's not the word I'm looking for. Coming into their own that like have grown up with video games, not as like Space Invaders or Pong or, you know, the arcade style of game, but games as a storytelling medium. So I think you'll start to see more of that. Mark Hamill's a cool guy. I know he's a Mass Effect fan himself, so that gives him lots of points. Later, Majin. Thanks for hanging out.
We got them all, Shepard.
Saving. Saving a lot. Let's go saving. Okay, so we're going clockwise.
We got them all, Shepard.
Thanks, Garrus. Actually, in games that let me choose gender, with the exception of Mass Effect, I tend to play as a female character, because I think they put more effort sometimes into the like character design options for female characters. Also, I'm gonna be staring at somebody's butt for a long time as a heterosexual male. If I were homosexual, it would be totally fine for me to stare at a dude's butt. But I like ladies. I like the form of ladies, so I am happy to stare at a lady's butt for a long time. Axiom Verge. No, I haven't. What is that? Maybe one day they'll make a second-person game where like the whole thing is facing the front of you. You're not just staring at your character's butt all the time. In games with customizable, characters? I don't know, actually. There aren't very many that are like third person that let you play as a girl, that let you choose. Go for it, Kami. No, I know, Dexter. I was being facetious. That is the least important thing in a game to me. In fact, I'm frequently pointing out how frustrating it is to see like excessive objectification of women in a lot of these Japanese games we've been playing. Like people spending lots of development resources on adding unnecessary boob physics everywhere. It's like, is that really necessary for your game? Did you need to take time away from developing real content to make boobs jiggle? Sean, that's an interesting take on it. I like that idea. Silent protagonist. Okay, so like Skyrim's a silent protagonist, right? That way you're the person who's playing it. That's adorable, Kami. Andrea, you should click on Kami's link. I think you'll like it. Yeah, I guess the boob physics in Okami is actually kind of relevant to the plot, isn't it, in a really weird way? No, I dig that, Sean. That is a well thought out reason to choose the gender of your character in a game. Oh, you love cute stuff? Kami, you should find like a gif of the fat chocobo. My wife squeals every time she sees it. I think the rule should be, it's not so much that you shouldn't have boob physics, but if you're gonna have boob physics, then you need to have banana hammock, like wiggle, 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 yeah, physics as well. Like, let's have equal treatment, you know? If you're gonna show off jiggly boobies, then there's gotta be a half-naked dude running around with jiggly junk. If it meets that standard, then it's okay by me. Alright, and now 20 minutes later, back to where we were. I might go over by like 15 minutes or so to make up for that. Yeah, I think that's unfortunate though, Dexter. Like, there's no reason for them to be targeted in that way. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, as games continue to be targeted toward a predominantly male audience, women are being told basically, you're not welcome here. You're not invited to play this game because we made it for a male audience. And so fewer and fewer women are playing games, and it keeps feeding on itself. It's a positive feedback loop. That's why I say, like, just do equal treatment, you know. I agree, Zegwig. 100%. Actually, I was very happy to see the service done by BioWare for more gay romance options, particularly in like Mass Effect 2 and 3, but also in the Dragon Age games. I think that goes beyond just lip service. I appreciate that they do that. Because I agree, gay players need more options. It's been a problem in a lot of Japanese games for a while, mostly Japanese online games, that option hasn't been provided. But it's certainly getting better in the West. Oh god. I guess if you're a female shepherd, you can be with Liara, but that I wouldn't really call that a homosexual relationship because they don't really have a gender identity. Would agree, Dexter, but is it the chicken or the egg? Like, why is it that they're played by males? I can't think of any, like, physical reason about, like, the makeup of a, you know, a boy's body versus a girl's body that would attract a boy to play a video game versus a girl. And I would argue it's because they're marketed in that way. Yeah, I agree, Sanguine. If there are fewer, I don't think it's the fault of... I don't think that we can say that women don't like action, women don't like competitive games, women don't like violence in games. I don't think that that is true, and there's no reason to believe that that's true. It's that we've set up a society that tells women, you can't like this, it's not okay to like this. And that's completely incorrect, I think. Yeah, that makes sense, Segway. They added what? There's a Caden relationship in 3, I think? I don't know.
I think we're good, Shepard. We got them all, Shepard.
I've looked up this binary before. I think it stands for help. All right. Poll was closed. It was 5-3, Nemesis to Shock Trooper. I think that culture is incorrect and unfair to women, though. It's also unfair to men to say that men can't like. Why can't a man play Barbie Supermodel? Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing inherently wrong with a man playing Barbie Supermodel, but we have this cultural stigma against it. Okay, let's see. Does he already have? He might already have heavy armor unlocked. Yeah. Guess we'll just stick with fitness, maybe. Yeah, Sean. Dude, we never had more stream interaction than when I played Barbie Supermodel. Like, it was hilarious. Like, I was really bad at matching the outfits, and everyone's like, "No, you idiot!" It was it was mauve lipstick. God, pay attention. It was awesome. Cool. New armor. Yep, I 100% agree with that, D-Rock. If we got one, it must have been before we game overed. That's okay. Ooh, I think I disagree very, very strongly with that. That girls genetically dislike certain kinds of games. I think that's 100% cultural. I don't think there's anything natural. It's nature versus nurture is an argument, right? I don't think there's anything in nature that says a woman can't like a certain thing or a guy can't like a certain thing. Like the only thing that makes us physically different is our, sex organs. Everything else, in my opinion, is entirely a cultural phenomenon. But I mean, that is a common opinion that has prevailed for millennia. that is a natural thing and not a nurture thing. It's all self-feeding though. Every time you tell a girl you're genetically predisposed to not like violent games, you're telling her that if she does like violent games, then she's a weirdo. So there are fewer and fewer girls and women who push outside of that stereotype. And it feeds on itself from generation to generation. Those same girls have their own daughters and teach their daughters that this isn't okay. Yeah, see, I don't know if I agree with that. I hear your point, but I don't think there's any strong genetic reason for someone to want to care for something versus attack something. Alright, let's see. Doctor, let's go do Rex and Garrus's missions. Argos Row, and let's do Herschel, because we know where that one is for sure. Yeah, like Harvest Moon, that game kicks ass. That game is badass. All you're really doing is run around and like raising cows and stuff. Herschel, right? Here. I'd have to see the statistics. I'd have to have the evidence in front of me to weigh it myself. To really test that, like to state statistically, women are genetically predisposed to liking stories and games that are about caring as opposed to violence. You would have to remove all nurture from the equation. You'd have to control entirely for nature. So basically, you'd have to raise a child in a completely sexless, genderless situation with no exposure whatsoever to influence from their parents or society, which is basically an impossible experiment. This is an interesting conversation, by the way. I don't want, I think we can keep talking about this in a way that's civil. I think everyone's staying civil right now, but I don't think anyone should get really upset and mad about this. I think this is a fair thing to discuss. I think the problem is that this is a taboo conversation. It doesn't come up in gaming very often, so it's good to bring it up. Thank you for the link, Dexter. I'll take a look at it after. So they're basically Thorian husks, but not really. Yeah, Sean, I think I agree with your point. Exactly. You know, if you're a young girl and you right now Legos are pretty heavily advertised as being a toy that's designed for young boys, not for little girls. But there's nothing about building things or Legos that should have a gender bias in either direction, right? So it's really like, did your parents and your grandparents buy Legos for you as a little girl, or did they not buy Legos for you? Like, that would pretty heavily offset what your interests are. And what would influence your parents into buying or not buying Legos for you? Is it the way it's marketed?
Thank you.
Is it other parents?
Thank you for saving me from those things.
Commander, that's him. That's Dr. Saleon.
What? My name is Hart. Dr. Hart. Please, get me
Yeah,
out
it's
of
a
here.
snowball effect.
Are you sure it's him?
You're good, Sean. Thank you. Good dialogue.
Positive. There's no escape this time, Doctor. I'd harvest your organs first, but we don't have the time.
You're crazy. He's crazy. Please, don't let him do this.
Hell yeah, Sneakers. Same here. Legos and pirates and all kinds of rad shit.
We'll take him in, drop him off.
Rad,
at the
you know,
military.
stereotypically girly shit too, but
we have him.
rad shit is rad shit. It doesn't need to have a gender label on it, I don't think.
If he dies, we'll never know what he's been up to or how he did it. We'll take him in, interrogate him, and he'll serve his time.
Okay. You're right. You're a very lucky Salarian. You owe the commander your life.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Yeah, so here you can let Garrus like summarily execute him, and I think he fights you regardless. But we voted to influence Garrett to Paragon.
And so he dies anyway. What was the point of that?
You can't predict how people will act, Garrus, but you can control how you'll respond. In the end, that's what really matters.
Yeah. I don't think I ever met anyone like you, Commander. Well, I guess we're done here.
They're not Sneakers. That's why it's such a good example, because like I don't think anyone could really argue why Legos should be a toy that's geared at young boys and not young girls. You can kind of make an argument for video games, sure, caring versus violence, but there is zero argument about Legos, and yet Legos are overwhelmingly marketed exclusively to boys. Occasionally they'll make like a girl version of Legos that's, you know, I was trying to remember the name of the product. There's a Lego product that's targeted at girls, and it's very different. You know, instead of having fire trucks and police stations and things that a city would need, it's like all beauty salons and things that are stereotypically female. But why can't you have a city designer who is a woman? Oh, Dexter, I agree. So that culture is going away. We're making progress. I don't think that's still a huge message that's floating out there like it was 20 years ago. But it would certainly explain the dearth of female gamers we have right now in those kinds of genres. If before this decade, before even this last 5 years, it's been so openly hostile. A girl boots up a game. You know, the example, there's a competitive Hearthstone player who's a woman, and she gets so much shit from male players of the game, like calling her a cam girl and being offensive, when there's no earthly reason why a girl shouldn't be able to be a competitive Hearthstone player. So only in this case, you know, any guy could just get into Hearthstone no problem, because he's not going to have to deal with all this adversity, all of these asshole male dudes giving him shit for playing. But the only female competitive gamers are going to be gamers who are able to put up with that shit. Like, I wouldn't be able to put up with that shit if I was sitting here on Twitch and everybody was in chat saying, you know, go to hell, you bitch, and saying mean gender biased things to me. I don't know if I'd be able to take it. I'm a pretty strong person, but it wouldn't be fun for me. I wouldn't want to keep doing it. That has a snowball effect. It keeps feeding on itself excessively. So while I agree that the culture is going away, it's a slow process, and the culture certainly was saying women shouldn't do these things for the last 20 years or so. It's only just now starting to fade and die. Even if that's true, though, that shouldn't be your default reaction. You shouldn't say, because she's a woman, therefore this. Like, you know, there's a lot of trolls on the internet, on 4chan or whatever. Like, for that reason, you don't look at any random male person and say, oh, I bet they're a 4chan troll. Like, it seems to be something that's a unique prejudice that's leveraged at women unfairly. I think that's absolutely true, Dexter, is that there are a big piece of it that you point out. There's a lot of really stupid people on the internet. Lots of them. And squeaky wheels get the grease. You could have, you know, 3,000 people in your chat and 5 idiots. And the 5 idiots will talk more and be more stupid than everybody else combined. So they certainly are louder. They stand out more. Argos Row, I think is the one we want. Let's see, Argos Row. Might actually be one of these other, like, main scenario worlds. There it is. Yeah, same one as Pinnacle Station. I think it's the Hydra one. Sean, I just saw your thing about Paragon Femshep versus Renegade Femshep. So the only way I've ever seen Femshep is Renegade. My wife played pretty hardcore Renegade as a Femshep. So it's unusual seeing Paragon Femshep, I agree. This is a pretty cool description here. So this planet was the site of a Krogan warlord's defeat by the Turian peacekeeping forces. While this band was not especially powerful, Shiagar was a female warlord and one of the few remaining fertile females. She had, through viciousness and cunning, parlayed her unique value in a position of power. Krogan males competed for the right to join her band and lie with her. When Shiagar's death was announced, vengeful male Krogan admirers near and far swore blood oaths against the participating Turian crews. In the end, several thousand of the Turian participants were killed in open combat or through assassination. To this day, many Krogan proudly proclaim they have the blood of Shiagar. I love those little, like, most of the time when you scan these planets, like, oh, it's a gas giant, they mine it for helium-3, but sometimes they have cool little stories like that.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
General distress call from the Sacred Angel Medical Transport. Critical system failure. Losing power. Emergency landing. Argos. Communications failing. Life support and emergency transponder. Won't last.
So we're going to run a little bit over time. We lost some time due to dying earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep going until we get Rex's armor, and then we'll call it. And I'll do a sign-off and kind of summarize what games are coming up tomorrow, this weekend, and through next week. Right, Sean? That's racial bimorphism, you know. I don't think did you ever see a female Turian? They just never bothered to animate it. I guess if they were going to make them look different, it would have been a trick to do. I think we want to do the anomaly first, maybe? Oh, let's go to the transponder signal.
There's the wreckage. The signal must be coming from there.
Careful, Shepard. Geth, it's a trap!
It's a trap! The Geth Akbar'd us. Don't want to be that close to rocket drones. Whew.
All clear.
Oh, that would be wonderful, Sean. I agree 100%. Not spoiling anything, I think there's one female Krogan that you meet. I feel like it was just an oversight. This game is generally pretty good about gender, with that major glaring exception. I think it's like whenever they decided to include a female character, they just automatically made it either an Asari or a human female. Or I guess the Quarians, right? I shouldn't exclude Tali, the best party member. There's actually two here. There's the Pinnacle Station, which is a DLC that I'm not going to be doing because it's a lot of grinding and no actual story. It's just a bunch of like optional combat missions. Yeah. Yeah, but they shouldn't need a reason, right? We should be fair to the developers. It would be non-trivial, right? If you're making an entirely different model set, even the one female Krogan that we're talking about has a model that's basically identical to the other ones. If she has, you know, dimorphic features, they're hidden by the clothes she's wearing. Okay, here's another long one. One hemisphere of this Vebenock planet is covered by a surface of deposits of oxidized copper. 270 years ago, a Turian bulk gas transport was attacked by pirates in the Phoenix system. Damage made a rough landing on the planet. The heat of the landing melted significant quantities of surface ice, and ruptured shipping containers spilled locks across the surface. Before these evaporated and escaped the weak gravity, it reacted to cause a widespread rust. That's awesome. Half the planet is covered by rust because of a Turian planet crashing in there. Yeah, no, that's a good point, Sean. I guess when I say oversight, I mean like, so when you say you don't think it was an oversight, that they're like say, okay, let's go ahead and do the female Salarian models now, and they're like, no, we don't have the money or the time to animate a completely separate section of them. So if we're gonna have a female alien, let's have it be an Asari or a Quarian. Yeah, right. Exactly. If they have sexual dimorphism. No, I made that point too, that to be fair, you know, it would actually cost money to animate two different groups, so pick your poison. That's fair, Kami. We can I think we've talked this one out quite a bit. I don't mean to stifle debate, but you know, I also don't want to gang up on Dexter, because while I personally disagree, I've been on the opposite side of that situation where you're like the one person and you've got a whole bunch of other people that are disagreeing with you, and it can feel like, you know, they're right because there are more of them, and that's never correct. It's, you know, it's what's the logical fallacy? The democracy fallacy, I think it is. Like, an idea isn't right because more people at the time share it. But no, it was a good discussion, good talk. I'll definitely read that Guardian article that you posted, Dexter. Thank you for sharing it. I need that immersion. I'd love to have more female Salarians just so that I don't ask where are all the female Salarians.
This is the place. My armor's here somewhere.
You just got a feeling there, Rex? Cool beans. Yeah, thank you all for being civil. It was a good conversation. I think, like I said earlier, like the gender in gaming conversation is a taboo one. And because it's taboo, people don't talk about it, and I think that's even more unhealthy than the problem itself, not talking about it. So it was a good conversation for sure. But no, I agree. Like, can't we just play games? Do we have to obsess over like the social stuff? Probably not. But if we're going to be playing a game and I'm going to be doing the same portion of a game that I just did 20 minutes ago, we may as well talk about something, right? No, I 100% agree, Dexter. I mean, so by analogy, let me kill this guy real quick. So I don't like reality TV. Like, it personally doesn't sing to me. I don't like watching it. I don't get excited seeing it. But I can't complain about reality TV because clearly it sells. Like, it is an example of supply and demand. The supply is very high. It's easy to make a reality TV show. You don't have to have writers, you know. It's inexpensive. You don't have to have crazy set pieces and CGI dragons and shit. And the public consumes it readily. But I can still say that, hey, I think it's unfortunate that this is the niche that entertainment has fallen into. And is there something we can do about it outside of just the market to resolve it? I don't know. I don't think that means like destroying reality programming, but enabling more options that aren't exclusively reality programming. I think that's exactly the same situation as the gender in gaming problem. It's like, yes, it's a supply and demand problem. It's a market problem, but does that end discussion or debate on it? Did it really save right outside, or did I must have just saved right outside? I've gotten more cautious. I think it's society. I don't think it's fair to blame game developers. I don't like when people get obsessive about like, oh, this is a great game, but the developer did this, this, and this, and it wasn't egalitarian. It's like, just, oh my god, just play the game and have fun, let it go, So I think it's more the burden of society, and it's a fallacy to think that this is a problem that we can fix in a conversation, with a single game in a year or even 10 years time. This is a problem of decades of generations that we're going to have to fix. So I think it's like individual people treating each other right, be good to other people, let them be into what they're into while you be into what you're into. If you have kids yourself, raise your kids to be like that, to treat people right. And if the problem has a solution, it will fix itself over time. Just don't do things that are counterproductive. Like, don't be the douchebag who gets into Hearthstone chat with the poor female competitive Hearthstone player and give her shit. And when someone does do that, shut that person down. Like, be the mod who bans them or calls them out and say that's not acceptable, man.
Shutting them down.
Hey, what's the quote from George R. R. Martin, the writer of Game of Thrones? Like, somebody asked him, how do you write such great female characters? He's like, well, I start from the assumption that women are basically humans. And I just write them as humans. Yeah, 100%. It certainly would be nice to have more women in game design in general, but like I said, I think that's a generational problem. I don't think that's something we're going to solve in an afternoon, a week, a year, or a decade. Ban me immediately. Hey Timby Loco, how's it going? Yeah, it's one that I think is going to shape a lot of social dialogue. It was already starting to shape it, you know. Kami, I've heard that quote. That's a great one. Joss Whedon's the man. Apparently, Joss Whedon were giving him shit. So I haven't seen Avengers 2 yet, so no spoilers. But I guess they were giving him shit because there was a relationship in the new movie featuring Black Widow, and that's gotta hurt Joss Whedon pretty bad because he's been a champion of feminism for such a long time. Like, I'm sure he didn't intend anything by it, but it's just like we're in this age of the internet where everything is just ruthlessly criticized. You can't possibly make something that is completely immune to criticism. You always did something wrong. If you didn't piss off women, you pissed off the trans community. If you didn't piss off the trans community, you know. And nowadays, you might have pissed off white men. Like, there's the whole goofy men's rights movement. So I think that there's going to be a generation that just, like, finds a way to ignore criticism in a way that or have a better filter for criticism in a way that prior generations haven't had to develop because they didn't have the internet. Oh, seriously, Hapax? I know very little about it. I just saw a random post on Reddit. Oh, that's fucked up. Man, I wish I would have heard that part of the story.
Go, go, go!
Thanks.
Yeah, so, you know, take what I'm about to say in the context of everything I just said, right? That I think we should push for equality in general and that we should treat others right and be good to others. I think that it's almost never productive to be offended. Like, and I'm open to, I've discussed this with some other people and I've heard good arguments to the contrary, but like, the state of feeling offended is entirely on you, I think. It's up to you whether you are cool and relaxed and able to let stuff go and think about stuff, or just to be, you know, make that what's the sound people make when they're incredulous, the oh, how dare they, you know, reaction. I don't like that reaction. It's unproductive. It stifles debate, stifles discussion. Oh, thanks for bringing that to light, Hapax. I would have kept misstating that then.
This is it. I can't believe my ancestors ever wore this piece of crap, but at least I've got it back.
I'm glad we could help you get it back.
I might just be starting to like you, Shepard.
I love it. They don't have these in the later Mass Effects. They have these like kind of like old school text adventure sort of pop-ups, where you just kind of have to use your imagination because they didn't animate it. So Rex touches his grandfather's armor, his expression thoughtful, perhaps? Program are hard to read. Then he shakes off his amusement and grips his gun with renewed purpose. Time to move on. Cool, Sanguine. I'll look it up. Well, maybe that's a fault of language or semantics. Like I think that, like, what's the way to put it? So if we go back in time to like the original women's suffrage movement, like it is correct for women to say it's bad that we can't vote. Like I don't think that's being offended. I think that's pointing out injustice. When I say being offended, I guess I mean like the state of just feeling incredulous and being outraged and not doing anything about it and not talking about it, but just being upset, generically upset, and not willing to discuss, you know? That's what I don't like. Okay, cool. So that was we did some side quests today. We got the VI on the moon taken care of. We did a bunch of talking to our squad members. We influenced Garrus permanently on the side of Paragon. He was kind of on a renegade path at the beginning, wanting to do what needs to be done, kill the hostages if necessary, and we told him no, that's not the way. Rex, we got him his armor back. There's not really a Paragon versus Renegade decision in that, but whether you do that does carry over into Mass Effect 2 and 3. And then we stopped the Rogue VI, which is going to be something that's important and comes up in Mass Effect 3. As far as schedule coming up, so tomorrow we're going to be doing, since we beat Final Fantasy VI today, in place of Final Fantasy VI, we're going to be playing Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. Paper Mario is a fairly short game, so we're likely going to transition directly from Paper Mario into Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door for the GameCube. We'll be playing both of those, so get hyped for those. Final Fantasy IX will continue. We'll give her its fair share tomorrow, full 2 hours, and then Mass Effect again from 4 to 6. This weekend, Saturday morning, we'll be playing some Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO. Tune in for that. And then next week, Monday and Tuesday, we're coming back with more Okami, likely some more Paper Mario, and Final Fantasy V, which we just started this week. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. A good discussion today. Hope to see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.